Hello everyone, I'm Millcreek Township Supervisor John Groh. If it looks like I'm going to my favorite place, Presque State Park, it's because I am. As nearly everyone knows, Presque State Park was recently named the USA Today's Reader's Choice #1 freshwater beach. Now that the rest of the world knows what you and I already know, we can expect to see even more visitors, in addition to the 4 million which already flock annually to this beautiful natural paradise. Something we must be aware of while visiting the park is safety with the focus on interaction of bicycles, cars, rollerbladers, and pedestrians. At times, Presque Isle can be congested, and unfortunately, there have been a few accidents and close calls. The question is, what can we do to avoid such situations? To answer that question and a few more are my guests, Matt Green, Presque Isle State Park Manager, and a Millcreek resident that enjoys the park as much as I do, Dr. Carla Orlando. Before we get started, I would like to note that in March of this year, Matt observed 1 year as our park manager. Our congratulations go out to him, and we look forward to many more years of service. Carla and Matt, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys are here. Let's start with a PI 25 program, what this is all about. Somebody want to start out telling me what PI 25 is all about?
I can.
Yeah.
The Drive 25 at Presque Isle is a project that we started about a year ago to try to increase public awareness about the speed limit at the peninsula.
Okay.
And that turned into a discussion about park safety in general.
Right. Okay.
As you remember, last summer, a fatal car accident at the park.
Yes, that was sad.
Speed was a factor in that tragedy. And my husband and many friends road ride at the peninsula and are well aware of the danger that speeding poses to everyone there.
Okay.
And there's been an ongoing conversation between park officials and the cycling community about safety issues in general.
Okay.
Part of that discussion has been speeding, and the other part of the discussion has been rules of the road, motor vehicles and cyclists sharing the road.
Sharing the road,
So we
yes.
wanted to come up with a slogan and graphics that would be a friendly reminder to just add to what Matt and his staff at DCNR are already doing at the park.
Okay, that sounds good. Of course, Matt, your department, of course, DCNR, they are overseeing traffic control, crime, things like that.
Sure.
Anything that happens down there, this is your domain as far as enforcement. So, what can you tell me from the Rangers' perspective? What do you know about that?
Well, in the topic of safety issues, I mean, we really deal with 3 typical protections that we have on the park, and that is protecting park visitors from the resource. Like in the winter when we have ice dunes,
Oh, yes.
we post signs to make sure folks don't go out there because it's an unsafe environment for them. We also protect the natural resources on the peninsula from park visitors, whether it's cutting and taking flowers. We want the peninsula to be there for many years to come so everybody can enjoy it.
Yes.
And last, and probably one of the most intensive protections that we do is protecting park visitors from other park visitors.
Right.
And sometimes that's easier to do than others.
Easier said than done. Right?
Some of the things that we do are, probably one of the most important things that we do is regulate the speed on the peninsula. We have over 4 million people who come every year, and it's important that people get to the peninsula and what they want to do, whether it's sunbathing or swimming or bird watching or looking at the turtles. We want to make sure that they get there as safe as possible.
Right.
And the one thing that we do is regulate that speed so that the interactions between the visitors can happen as safely as possible.
Yeah, well taken there. Of course, Carla, you mentioned, of course, with your husband being a cyclist down there, and he's with a group of people that ride down there regularly. I used to do that at one time, believe it or not, but that was about 50 pounds ago and 20 years ago. So, but anyway, it was something that I really enjoyed, riding down there. But, of course, and I'm sure your husband can attest to how many close calls there may have been. And I guess the emphasis, of course, is on sharing that road together.
Yes.
And can you explain a little bit more what that means with sharing the road? We see the signs down there that tell you to share the road.
There are many signs posted, but we think that there may be some confusion as to what that actually means.
Okay.
And Matt may touch on this as well, but the law is that the cyclist can use the entire vehicle lane.
Right.
And that a motor vehicle needs to allow a 4-foot distance between itself and a cyclist.
Right.
And that when passing a cyclist, a motor vehicle needs to move fully to the passing lane to do so. So in other words, a motor vehicle driver should treat a bicycle as another as another vehicle.
Right.
And along that same line, the cyclist should observe rules of the road as if it were a vehicle.
Right.
In other words, maybe signaling your turns and stopping for pedestrians at crosswalks.
Right, yeah. And that is so important down there, because you look, if you're less than 4 feet, and I can attest myself, it gets kind of scary when you got a vehicle that close to you there. And so the cars and the bicycles have to work to share that road together. And it's no one particular vehicle's lane themselves there. It's a matter of sharing that road there. So Matt, could you explain a little bit about the passing regulations that Carla was talking about?
So different states have different laws set up for sharing the road with bicycles. In Pennsylvania, it's a 4-foot law. And it's set up for opposing traffic, and you have 2 opposing lanes that when you make a pass on a bicyclist, you should pass with at least 4 foot of clearance. So to make it safe for everybody, both the vehicle and the cyclist out there. Now, we're fortunate enough on the peninsula to have 2-lane traffic, both inbound and outbound in several areas of the park, which affords us the ability for our vehicle drivers to be able to move completely into a passing lane and make that pass on a bicycle, because they can use that entire lane as they would if they were on just an opposing traffic lane. So we do ask that the drivers move across, and probably more of the conflict we see is not from local drivers, because local drivers are down there all the time. They're making the loop and they're enjoying the sights at Presque. But we think a lot of it comes from out-of-state drivers who may have different rules or regulations in their states. So we want to be able to get this kind of informational, educational campaign out there so that everybody can understand and enjoy the park.
Sure. Okay. You know, that is something, as I said, I encountered some close calls down there, and some of them are downright scary. But, you know, there's really no reason why the cars couldn't get around, you know, move over to the other lane there and, you know, be patient. You know, the speed limit's 25. Why not enjoy the beauty of what Presque Isle has to offer? And
Absolutely.
when
There's
you're
lots
doing,
to see.
Oh, yes. There's so much to see. You know, the nature, just the beautiful scenery of the bay and of the lake and everything. Why not enjoy it? If you're down there to go on a speed race, you're in the wrong place, because you're missing so much if you do it that way there. So. Carla, anything you'd like to add to all of this here? Your experience? I'm assuming that you have ridden down there on a bike too, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And hopefully you've not had any close calls. But
I have not.
You have not.
No.
Okay.
But we want to add that we do want cyclists and even rollerbladers to make sure they're using proper protection.
Okay. Okay. Now the rollerbladers. Now, do we allow rollerbladers on the road too, or are they strictly limited to the all-purpose trail there?
No, on the multi-purpose trail. Yeah, we ask that rollerbladers use the multi-purpose trail. We have lots of different types of user groups down there.
Sure.
You know, with drivers that drive down to do whatever activity they want. We have bicyclists who can use the multi-purpose trail or the roadway. Now, obviously, the road biking is more for people that are out to get a workout. You know. To train.
Right, yeah, it's not leisure riding. It is for somebody, as in Carla's husband's case. You know,
Absolutely.
He's down there to ride and get some cardio.
Because you have the responsibilities of the same as a vehicle driver does at that point when you're on the roadway.
That's right.
So if you're going to ride on the multi-purpose trail, it's more of a relaxed, recreational kind of thing.
You might have your children with you, or
Absolutely.
grandchildren, and they're riding their tricycle or something like that.
And that brings up a good point, that on the multi-purpose trail, it is a slower paced kind of thing, because there's multiple different user groups using that, whether it's rollerbladers, whether it's bicyclists, or just pedestrians that are out enjoying a walk or a run on the peninsula. There's a little more negotiation that has to happen in and out of people and different equipment. So we ask that people use that in a more recreational kind of mode and slow down.
Right, yeah. And of course, as we know, I mean, I have walked on that trail. My wife and I have been walking on that. And, you know, and we've had really good interaction with bicycles and with rollerbladers. You know, there are a couple spots there where it might be a blind turn or something, and so you always got to be aware of it. But I've always come across the utmost courtesy, and I think, you know, people know, you know, they'll see all that to you, passing on the left, you know, and they'll let you know I'm passing or something like that, to let you know, to be alert that there is something that's moving faster than you are and is going to pass you, which is good. I like that, rather than have something come right up and scare the bejeebers out of me. So,
absolutely,
you know, and that can happen too. So, of course, I know you mentioned about safety gear. You encourage wearing helmets and pads, if you're on rollerblades. I can't see myself on rollerblades. I'm telling you, I'm ready for a hip operation now. I'll tell you. Roller skating's bad enough. I can't see me on blades, but I see the kids, with the elbow pads and the knee pads, and of course, we always recommend that. And I think, especially for the little children, if they're down there, because you don't want to get them scraped up and get their knees and arms ruined for the rest of their life. So, of course, always wear a helmet, folks, whether you're on a bicycle or you're on blades or something. Please do that there, because nothing's worse than having a head injury.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So that's important down there. What else can we talk about in regards to the PI 25 program? What can you tell us?
Yeah, sure, John.
Yeah.
Some of the things, we're really glad that this is kind of a grassroots effort of, local citizens coming together and recognizing that there are things on the park that we have to keep out in the public and keep the public consciousness aware of. And speed is one of those things.
Yeah.
With that, some of the things that we're doing, and Carla has been gracious enough to put her own time and resources into helping us get that education out there. That a nice graphical kind of PI Drive 25 with the turtle in the background really speaks to the leisurely feel of the peninsula. And slow down and enjoy your time there. You'll see that graphically displayed kind of all over the park this year. We'll be putting up signage in certain areas, bulletin boards. There'll be information to educate the park visitors as they come to the park about how we want them to interact with other park visitors in a slow fashion, and maybe make some of our out-of-state visitors more aware of what the rules and regulations are in Pennsylvania and on the peninsula. With that, we'll also be putting some other informational signage out. The back of the Ranger vehicles will have some information about the bicycle.
Oh, okay,
for people,
about keeping the space. Oh, yeah, good idea. Yes.
And also, we will be doing enhanced law enforcement on the peninsula to make sure that we can keep that speed down to 25 miles an hour so that everybody gets where they're going in a safe manner.
Yeah, and of course, one thing to keep in mind, folks, for those of you who are watching, is that the Presque State Park actually starts, it would be to the north of the Sarah's campground. And it's before the gates, before you actually get to the gates.
Correct. There's a sign.
There's a sign
right there
which
says, "Welcome to
identifies
Presque State Park."
Yeah. So before that, you're actually in Millcreek Township, and you're on a state highway there, Route 832. Millcreek Township has the control of speed on that there, and of course we do active, enforcement on that. And of course the speed tables that were put down there 2 years ago will be reinstalled coming up in May. So by the time you see this program, they may have already been put in place, and those have helped slow down traffic in there, give it a calming effect, because with the traffic going in and out of Sarah's, both vehicular, bicycles, and people walking, it set up some very close calls and dangerous situations. So we're glad that that's down there and controlling the traffic down there. We always have to keep in mind, folks, that when you're down there, Presque Isle, you're down there to enjoy and to relax, and you shouldn't get all worked up on stuff like that. If you're going to get worked up, the best thing is not to go. Really, that's the way I look at it. You need to go take a chill pill or something before you get down there.
It's there for the enjoyment of everyone.
Yes.
So relax and enjoy the day.
Right. My wife and our family. There's always the gang of us. It varies but we're down here on Sundays, and we go down and we pack a lunch and snacks. My brother-in-laws and I, the four of us, we sit and play pinochle, and the ladies, they sit around and talk about different things and work on suntans and stuff. But it's just a great relaxation, and we really look forward to doing that again. Hopefully we can start this week, but I'm not sure about the weather this week, But by Memorial Day, we feel pretty confident about doing that. So, what else can you tell us there, Matt or Carla, in regards to the PI 25 program?
We're very happy that we'll be using the images and educational materials around the park, and even I think Visit Erie was going to use the graphics and some of the information on their website.
Okay.
And Matt and his staff work hard every day and do more even than I realized behind the scenes, so to speak, until I started speaking with him. So we were just hoping to come up with something to help his efforts.
Okay.
And so I started working with a graphic artist locally, Miranda Mosier, who I think did a beautiful job in making something that complements the natural beauty of the park.
Right.
And in using the map turtle, who's native to our area.
Sure.
We're hoping that the little mascot will remind people that it is a natural habitat for hundreds of species of animals. And of course that the turtle reminds us to slow down. And it sort of reminds me of the Smokey the Bear campaign done by the Ad Council in the 40s.
Right.
So we're just hoping to help out.
Yeah, only you could prevent forest fires.
You
and
still
we see
know
how
it.
the
That's
turtle
right.
is a slower animal. It reminds
Yeah.
us to slow down, enjoy
Yes.
what's going on out there. And we don't want turtles to get hit, or any animal, any critter down there at all. I know a few years back there, we were driving and a duck with little ducklings was crossing the street. And it's so cute to see that, the little ones just
It
going right
is.
along with it. And,
Yeah.
but the traffic stopped in both directions, and people had the courtesy knowing not to harm the animals at all, but so yeah, that's now let's talk about something a little different, and it has nothing to do with being on land. How about the water? What can you tell us about that? That's under your control there, Matt, as far as the lifeguards. And,
Well, absolutely. We have over 50 lifeguards typically in a season, and they're there and they do an extremely good job of keeping attention focused on our swim areas and making sure that everybody is being able to enjoy the water in a safe manner. And while the PI Drive 25 doesn't relate directly to what they do, indirectly, it gets people there in a safe manner so that they can enjoy the beaches. And we did win the Reader's Choice USA Today Best Freshwater Beach, so we're expecting a lot more people down this year, which we're excited about. So we want them to get there, and we want them to get there nice and safe. We couldn't have done this without Carla and others being able to step up and help us do what we do on a regular basis with speed enforcement and safety. And we've had really some good interactions and lots of support from the Governor's Northwest office, from our local legislators, from the Township, from state police who help us out with speed control sometimes, PennDOT with signage and speed tables, and other partner organizations who help us get the message out on Drive 25 this year, like the Presque Partnership and Visit Erie that Carla had mentioned.
There are a lot of people involved, a lot of organizations, so that the shout out goes to everybody involved in this, whether they're at the state level, the state agencies such as DCNR, the state legislators, the governor's office, Millcreek Township. We'll give ourselves some kudos like everybody else we're giving kudos to. This is something that, as we all know, and I don't need to say it, but I will again, this is our crown jewel. This is really what we have to say a lot about. And it's something that we can enjoy year-round, and I know I enjoy it year-round, whether, although I like it always best in the summertime, and I'm sure everybody else is that way, but in the springtime it's beautiful to see, in the fall, wow, the colors are just, man. But even in the wintertime, too, you can enjoy what goes on down there, and you just got to bundle up a little bit more. So.
I agree.
But, okay, so we talked about the swimming and making sure that you're in guarded areas there. Now, should there be the unfortunate accident or something happening, whether it be involving cars, pedestrians, or rollerbladers crashing, or bikes or something like that, what should the people do? I mean, obviously call 911.
That's right. Any emergency down on the park, we ask that people call 911. 911 will get in touch with our rangers, and in turn we'll get in with our lifeguards, which have a responder unit that can respond to any kind of accident down there. Local EMS will respond as well, and we can take care of those. If it's a safety concern that someone sees on the park, or it's bumps, bruises, cuts kind of thing, you can always talk to a lifeguard that's out on the beach on one of the chairs. They can get the responder unit over there, or you can also go to the ranger station where our first aid station is and get some treatment there, and if it's serious enough, we can also get an ambulance to come down to there, pick everybody up.
And it is close by too, and of course, if there is emergency, if there are emergency vehicles responding, everybody does know to get out of the way there, and even though the roads are narrow, they still know what to do. I think the drivers have that courtesy of getting out of the way there. Of course, being safe down there, that's what this program, what we're talking about, is all about there. But it's always comforting to know, should there be an emergency, that there are means in place to handle those situations there. And Of course, when, especially, that Discover Presque Isle, we're talking about in July, that we're talking a huge congregation of people
Yes.
in a very small area, and the logistics of getting in and out of that. I know that our emergency management coordinator, Matt, actually works with you guys. A few years ago, we had the concert down there with Steely Dan, and
Yes.
before that, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Yeah.
Those are situations where, we have to be prepared. And of course, Millcreek Township, we work with the DCNR to help provide safety for all this and plans should there be an accident or something. How do you get somebody out of there? Say they have a heart attack or something like that. How do you get them off of Presque Isle and get them out of there quick,
Sure.
So the cooperation always that's what makes this whole thing work.
Absolutely. It's a team effort.
Yes, it is there. Let's see, is there anything we haven't covered yet about this that you folks want to talk about? We have a few minutes remaining in the program. And
John, I would like to say too,
Yeah.
well, drivers have to be cognizant and go the speed limit.
Sure.
We want them to drive 25 and enjoy how they're getting to what their activity is for the day.
Sure.
Bicyclists
Yeah.
have a responsibility as well.
Sure.
If they're on the road, they need to ride as a vehicle does.
Okay.
All those people using the multi-purpose trail, the pedestrians, the rollerbladers have a responsibility as well. Everybody plays a part in making sure that you have a safe visit when you come to Presque Isle. And that's just being aware and situational awareness of what's around you, who's around you, and knowing what areas you're in the park. We obviously have bigger congested areas. So in those areas, people need to look a little more.
Yeah.
Pay attention to other things that are around them, because in waterworks, we're always really busy in waterworks. A lot of amenities. There's lots of kids because of the playground. That's an area where everybody should be a lot more cognizant about what their surroundings are, and before they cross the road, to look both ways. I was with my daughters.
Oh, yeah.
Look both ways before we cross the road, because we always want to make sure. One of the other things that we really want people to be aware about is when they park on the peninsula. A lot of the parking is close to the roadway or the trails, and even on the trails, people can be going at a pretty good pace. Even somebody just running around could possibly create a situation where kids getting out of the car need to make sure that they stay close to the car before you get moving and get going to where you're at. And look before you go from your car, because lots of places we have the trail right adjacent to the roadway. And with that, we ask that people are very cognizant when they come down to the peninsula, because there are situations where people can be going quite fast, and there could create an incident where someone gets hit, and it ruins everybody's day because they don't get to do those activities they want.
That's right. Yeah, nothing worse than having a good day planned and it gets ruined, because of somebody injured. Carla, do you have any closing comments that you'd like to add to all of this?
I agree with what you and Matt are saying, and as you said, it's the crown jewel, really, of this area, and I have tremendous love and respect for the lake and the peninsula, as I think most people who live in this region do. And I think it's an important part of life for local residents, and what it generates in tourism for our economy is very important. And we just want everyone to enjoy what it has to offer, keeping safety a priority and knowing that we have to preserve and protect the park. And I wanted to thank Matt and Mary Jo and yourself, John, and your crew for listening to what we had to say and listening to our ideas. And I know that the cycling community first took their concerns to Pat Harkins, who himself can be spotted riding at the peninsula. And then he enlisted Julie Slomsky from the governor's office and put us in touch with Matt and Mary Jo. And that's how this whole ball really got rolling. And as you said, now there are people from all agencies who are backing it. And it's a thrill to see people with so much concern for the community and the park come together and work together. So thank you.
Sure. And I guess if I could just make one closing statement. My wife and I do a lot of traveling. We like to take a lot of cruises throughout the world, and we do it like maybe one or two a year. I just have that ability because she is a travel agent, and you see beautiful sunsets, but I will tell you the best sunset that I have seen, and it is free to see, is down at Presque Isle State Park.
It's the best show in town.
It's the best show in the world, I think. And I just don't know no lie about that. I've seen beautiful ones out of there in the Caribbean and stuff like that, in the Mediterranean, but honestly, the ones at Presque Isle, they're just so nice because you can get them any day of the week down there. If it's not cloudy, even if it's cloudy, you can still see a beautiful sunset. So I encourage anybody that does not go to Presque Isle, and if you're watching this program, trust me when I say that, go down there. Go down there at sunset, stop at Sarah's, get an ice cream, do whatever you want to eat, and then go there. watch that sun go down. You'll really enjoy that. Anyway, I want to thank both Matt, who is our park manager down there at Presque Isle State Park, and Dr. Carla Orlando, who is an avid user of Presque Isle State Park, just as much as I am. I want to thank both of you for being on this program
Thank you, John.
and explaining this here. So,
Oh, we appreciate it.
okay, glad you guys could be here.
See you at the peninsula.
For sure.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.